Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are going to be increasing our portability by fashioning a working, playing flow that opens the body. In terms of orientation, decide beforehand where the front of your mat is and where the back end of your mat is, because we are going to be playing towards both ends of the mat. You will also require a block for the stretch sequence at the end of the class. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to start off by finding a tall, wide, standing straddle. Feet softly splayed out and optimally set up so that you can come into a goddess or a plie line, a wide plie line from here. You're going to start nice and tall, arms relaxed to your side. You're going to bend the knees in plie, bring the arms overhead and back to your start position. Begin to play with that up-down motion through the legs. Angel winging the arms up and down. Give yourself a few dynamic flows. Then end in the deep plie, hold it. And start to spontaneously lunge side to side towards the top end, towards the back end. Remember this side lunge. Put it in your memory banks. We're going to come to stillness along the middle. You're going to place your hands on your hip creases as you stand up nice and tall. On an exhale, you're going to fold forward into tabletop, keeping those feet V'd and splayed out. Then you're going to come back into your deep plie and you're going to press the energy away with your hands and you're going to rinse and repeat. Finding your table fold from a wide V stand. And then a deep goddess or plie line, pressing the energy away with your hands. Opening up beautifully into the groin, feeling those inner thighs. Let's end in that deep plie line. And then let's translate it into a side lunge at the back end of your mat. You can do hand to knee or hand to toe. Hold. Then the same side lunge, but at the front end of your mat. Begin to pivot to face the front end of your mat and sweep your lead leg back into a one-legged plank. Using knee or no knee, one chaturanga to come back up and translate yourself into a floating three-legged dog. Use your floating leg to lunge through. Find a rotated side lunge, rotating towards your lead leg, so it's a closed lunge at the top end of your mat. Then begin to shift your weight from the top end of your mat to the back end of your mat and find your way into a half squat skandasana. Pivot to face the back end of your mat, sweep your lead leg back into a one-legged plank, using knee or no knee, chaturanga down and up, and find your way into a three-legged dog. Take your floating leg, step it up. We're going to do a closed rotation towards the lead leg. Then you're going to shift your weight from the back end of your mat towards the top end of your mat in a half squat line. Hamstring stretch. Find your way from here back to the middle of your mat, placing your hands on your legs or fisting them behind you. Hold a tabletop or an inverted fold, dropping your head towards the floor, squeezing the two palms together and thinking knuckles to sky. Then place your hands on the tops of your thighs as you bleed back up, splaying your feet out to find your way back to your original start position and begin to play. Plie to tap your hands overhead, and then stand up nice and tall. Think angel wing, goddess line. And in that goddess line, hold it. And then start some side lunge play towards the back and towards the top end of your mat. Just shifting the weight from one leg to the other, side lunge fashion. Find your way back to the middle of the mat. Place your hands on your hip creases. Fold forward into table. And then deep plie or goddess line, pushing the energy away with your hands. Rinse and repeat roughly 5 to 6 times. When your legs are straight and extended, draw up the energy all the way from your big toes through the tops of your thighs to your belly line. Let's do one more to end nice and deep. Hold it. We're going to side lunge to the back end of the mat, tapping finger to toe or fingers to knee. And then one side lunge to the top end of the mat. And we're going to translate that side lunge into a pivot, sweeping our lead leg back, finding our way to a one-legged plank. Using knee or no knee, you're going to chaturanga down and up. Three-legged dog. Then swing your floating leg through. Rotate your body towards it, finding a rotated high lunge at the top end of your mat. Then shift the weight to your back end of your mat and find a hamstring stretch, half squat. Pivot to the back end of your mat, sweep your lead leg back, find a one-legged plank using knee or no knee. Find a chaturanga down and up. Then morph into a three-legged dog, keeping your floating leg flying. Step your floating leg up, rotate towards it, finding a rotated high lunge. Then shift your weight from the back end of your mat to the front of your mat and come into a half squat. Skandasana. Then shift your weight to the middle, coming into prasarita, so feet are squared up, hands on the back of your thighs. You can slide them down. You could hold onto the inside, or you could look for a bit of a shoulder opening pose by fisting the hands behind you and thinking knuckles to sky. Then bleed your way back up into a tall stand and begin to splay your toes out, finding your way back to your original position. Tap angel wing plie. Hold your next plie. And think alternating, shifting side lunge towards the back of your mat, towards the front of your mat with long sweeping, reaching arms, just opening up gently through the groin. Find your way back to the middle of the mat, straighten up your legs and place your hands on your hip creases. Fold forward into table, keeping that turnout V position. Then a deep plie, pressing the energy away with your hands. Rinse and repeat and begin to find a little rhythm. Let's enter that nice deep plie line, pressing the energy away with our hands. Now find a side lunge to the back end of your mat, tapping hand to floor, hand to toe, hand to knee, whichever works for you. Then do the same at the top end of your mat. Pivot to face the top end of your mat, sweep your lead leg back and float it in a one-legged plank using knee or no knee, chaturanga down and back up. Translate into a three-legged dog. Sweep your floating leg up, rotate your body towards it in a rotated high lunge at the top end of your mat. Then shift your weight from your lead leg to your back leg so that you're now at the back end of your mat in a half squat hamstring stretch. Pivot to face the back end of your mat, sweep your lead leg back, find your one-legged plank using knee or no knee, chaturanga down and up. Translate to a three-legged dog. Sweep your floating leg up, rotate towards it, rotated high lunge. Then shift your weight from the back end of your mat to the top end of your mat and find your way into the hamstring stretch, half squat lunge. Find your way back to the middle of your mat, square your feet up, fold forward, picking the hand line that works for you, preferably fisted, making knuckles to sky, and starting to wiggle walk the legs further apart. Then come to a nice tall stand, relaxing your hands to your thighs and turning your heels in so that you've got a turnout position, and begin to angel wing plie. You know where you're going to now. Begin to look for fluidity as you begin to flow and play. End in your plie line, hold it. Transition into a side squat lunge, playing to the back and the front end of your mat. We're going to end center aligned. We're going to straighten up the legs, hands on the hips, fold forward into table, keeping the turnout position. Then plie and press the energy away. Start to play. Give yourself 5 to 6 repeats. Looking for that delicious stretch and bend through the legs, opening up, increasing your mobility, your portability. Let's end in that deep plie line, pressing the energy away from your chest. Then side lunge to the back of your mat. Side lunge to the front of your mat. Pivot to the front of your mat, sweep your lead leg back, find your one-legged plank, knee or no knee chaturanga. Translate to a three-legged dog. Step your floating leg through, rotate towards it in a high rotated lunge at the top end of your mat. Then shift your weight from the top end of your mat to the back end of your mat, coming into a half squat line. Pivot to the back of your mat, sweep your lead leg back, find your one-legged plank, chaturanga down and up, find your three-legged dog. Step up your floating leg, rotate your body towards it, and then shift your weight from the back end of your mat to the top end of your mat, coming into your half squat lunge. Back to the middle, square up your feet, bring your hands behind you, and fold forward into a nice wide Prasarita Padottanasana, wide standing straddle. Peel back up into a nice tall stand. Start to V your legs up and begin to angel wing plie. In deep. And then start to side lunge to the back, to the front, to the back, to the front. One more to each side, then we'll find our way back to the middle. Straighten up your legs, place your hands on your hips, keep the turnout position. One tabletop fold, one deep plie to press the energy away. Think of playing with the energy around your body. We're going to end nice and deep. We're going to take one side lunge to the back end of the mat. One side lunge to the top end of the mat. Pivot to the top end of the mat, sweep your lead leg back, find a one-legged plank, chaturanga down and up, then translate into a three-legged dog. Swing your floating leg up, rotate towards it. Shift your weight from the front of your mat to the back of your mat, finding a half squat. Pivot to the back end of your mat. Sweep your lead leg back, find your one-legged plank, chaturanga down or up using knee or no knee, and then transform into the three-legged dog. Sweep your floating leg up, lunge style, rotate towards it. Then shift your weight from the back end of your mat to the top end of your mat, coming into a half squat. Find your way back to the middle, square up your feet, fold forward, twisting the hands behind you and dropping your head through the table line. Find your way back into your original turnout position and start to angel wing plie. Body should be feeling nicely warmed and a lot more mobile. End in that deep plie with your hands overhead, hold, give me a heavy pelvis. And then find your side lunge play, shifting the weight from the front to the back of your mat. Find your way from here back to the middle. Keep the turnout position, but straighten up the legs, hands on your hips. Fold forward into table. And then deep plie, pressing the energy away from your body and start to play. Alternating between the tabletop fold and the deep plie with that press of the energy away from your chest. We'll end in that deep plie line. We'll take a lunge, a side lunge to the back end of the mat, fingers to toe, you can manage it. And then repeat to the top end of your mat. Pivoting to face the top end, sweeping your lead leg back, one-legged chaturanga, three-legged dog. Sweep that floating leg through, find a high rotated lunge. Then shift the weight from the top end of the mat to the back end of your mat, coming into your skandasana, one-sided squat. Pivot to the back end of your mat, sweep your lead leg back, one-legged chaturanga, three-legged dog. Lunge step forward, rotate towards your lead leg, and then shift the weight from the back end of your mat to the top end of your mat, coming into your hamstring stretch, one-legged squat. Find your way back to the middle, square up your feet, and fold forward. Let's shoot for one more repeat before we change our orientation and come to a working seated flow. Lead back up to your turnout position and begin to angel wing plie. Look to really work into those tight spots. End in your deep plie or your goddess squat. Start to side lunge to the back, to the front, to the back, to the front. We're going to find our way back to the middle, hands on the tops of your thighs. Keep the turnout position, fold forward into table. Then deep plie squat, pressing the energy away. Start to rinse and repeat. One table fold, one plie push. We're going to hold the next one. Nice and deep. Transition side lunge to the back end of your mat. Side lunge to the front end of your mat. Pivot to the front of your mat, sweep your lead leg back, one-legged plank, one-legged chaturanga, three-legged dog. Swing your floating leg up, rotate towards it, high rotated lunge. Shift the weight from the front end of your mat to the back end of your mat, coming into a hamstring stretch. Pivot to the back of your mat, sweep your lead leg back, one-legged plank, one-legged chaturanga, three-legged dog. Swing through into a rotated high lunge, and then shift the weight from the back of the mat to the front of your mat, coming into Skandasana. Back to the middle, square up your feet, fisting hands behind, fold forward. Pause here for a moment, and then decide how you're going to find your way from your current position into a straddle seat, a wide straddle seat on the mat. Maybe undoing the hands, maybe walking the legs further apart and taking a seat. At this stage, reach for the block that's at your station and place it on the floor in front. Try to take your straddle line as wide as you can manage and place your fingertips on the edge of the block. You're going to slide the block as far away from you as you can, and you're going to take your first one gentle, keeping your head above your hands and just looking for the edge of the block, sliding it away as far as it will go. We're going to hold for roughly 30 seconds, trying to keep our legs long with our feet actively braced and our belly button softly pulled in. Then slide your way back to a tall seat. We're going to keep the right leg extended. We're going to bend the left, coming into a gate line, Pirangasana, trying to do bum to heel, trying to open up the legs into a nice wide V. We're going to hold on to the block. We're going to pivot to face the toes of our extended leg, and we're going to start to slide, hover the block away, trying to end past our toes if we can and hold them, maybe framing the head with both arms or dropping the block behind the foot, pulling the block in with both hands and pressing away with the foot, making that stretch active and holding for roughly 30 seconds. And sitting up nice and tall, placing the block one side, we're going to rotate away from our extended leg, grabbing opposite hand to hip. Unkinking your body, placing the block on the floor anywhere along the inseam of the leg so that you can relax the elbow down to the floor and maybe touch your toe if you can. If you don't need the block, you can place that one side. Let's do elbow to floor with a big toe lock. Bowling action on the back arm, maybe just reaching, or maybe you can form a connection with your pinky toe. Peeping around your bottom arm and holding for roughly 30 seconds. Then sitting up nice and tall, rotating away from your extended leg and grabbing opposite hand to hip. Looking over that back shoulder and keeping your trunk as tall as you can. Then untwisting your trunk. If you're playing with the block, you're going to bring the block closer towards your body line so that you can relax your elbow onto it and relax your hand to the top of your thigh. And you can think same bowling action on the top arm. If you'd like to come into more of a pretzel-like bind, you're going to drop your elbow to the floor. You're going to lift off the floor, tucking your hand underneath your seat and reaching for the back heel or either your heel or maybe just the ankle, the back of the ankle. And then you're going to find a bind to your toes on the extended leg. You could use a belt or a strap to connect to that foot, and you're going to hold for roughly 30 seconds. Then you're going to unbind. You're going to twist away from your extended leg, looking to grow your spine and your crown towards the sky. Then untwist your trunk, extend your left leg, bend your right. Find your way back into your gate line, Paringasana. Reach for your block. Pivot to face your toes. See if you can hover reach. Maybe you can hook over your toes and hold. Give yourself about 30 seconds of holding that stretch. And lead back up. Rotate away from your extended leg, reaching opposite hand to hip and coming to a soft detoxifying twist. Unravel your twist. Place the block on the floor on the inseam of the leg. Bring elbow or forearm to block, trying to reach for your toes or as close to your toes as you can. Maybe you're giving yourself a toe lock, and then you're going to arc and frame. If you're working sans block, elbow to floor with a toe lock. Bowling action top arm, maybe you can reach for your pinky toe and hold for 30 seconds. Peel back up nice and tall. Rotate away from your extended leg, grabbing opposite hand to hip and lengthen the line of your spine, the line of your trunk, reaching your crown for the sky. Unravel your twist. Block coming closer towards your body line. Elbow or forearm to block, hand resting on your thigh. Bowling action, or if you're working sans block, elbow to floor, reach your hand through to grab hold of your back foot. And then think of trying to bind to the toes of your extended leg if you can. Peek around your top armpit towards the ceiling and hold for roughly 30 seconds. Find your way back to a tall seat. Rotate away from your extended leg, opposite hand to hip. Keeping your extended leg long with an active brace into your foot. Then unravel your twist, open back up into your straddle line, give the legs a little shake out, make sure both bum bones are grounded. Reach for the block. We're coming back into our straddle slide. You're going to gently slide that block forward as far as it will go. You're going to try to drop your head through the arm line, or maybe just frame your ears and hold. Thinking of taking a bow, forehead or nose to floor. Holding for at least 30 seconds. Then slide the block back towards your body line. We're going to keep the right leg extended. We're going to bend the leg, but this time we're going to bring the sole of the foot to the inseam of our extended leg. We're going to reach for our block. We're going to rotate towards the toes of our extended leg. We're going to fold and reach. Maybe we can hook over the foot, grabbing the block in with our hands and pressing away with our foot, and hold for roughly 30 seconds. Bleed back up, place the block down. We're going to just place the block one side. We're going to rotate away from the extended leg to press the inseam of our bent leg down and try to ground that leg to the floor. Looking for a little opening into the hip flexor and the groin on the back leg. Then look at the frame of your legs and think about how you can use your current frame to come into either Sukhasana, easy sit, or a half lotus line, Ardha Padmasana. Tuck the heel of your bent leg right into the perineum and then reach for the foot of your other leg. Maybe you can coax it to the top of your thigh. You could use your block to wedge underneath your thigh if you need support. Alternatively, wiggle around, ground both bum bones, and then press down on the top leg. So just gently pressing down on the inseam of that top leg, trying to gauge what you're doing with your body weight and trying to keep both bum bones as equally grounded into the mat as you can manage. Then finding your way from here back into your straddle line. You can give the legs a little shake out as you unravel them. Reach for your block. You know where you're going to. We're going to slide it away. We're going to try to drop ourselves closer to the floor. Maybe we can even bring one ear to the floor and hold that stretch for roughly 30 seconds. Find your way back to your tall seat. This time we're going to extend the left leg and we're going to bring the sole of the foot to the inseam of that left leg. Reach for the block, rotate your body so that you're looking towards those active left toes. And when you're ready, fold and reach, maybe trying to hook around the foot, pulling in with your hands and pressing away with your foot. Hold for roughly 30 seconds. Lean back up into a tall seat. Place the block on one side. We're going to press down on the inseam of our bent leg, and we're going to try to keep both of those bum bones on the mat without shifting and favoring one side. Then make sure that the foot of your bent leg is tucked right up close to the perineum, and see if you can tuck either into easy sit or a half lotus line. Shifting, making sure both bum bones are grounded, and then starting to bear down on the inseam of your top leg. Getting a little bit of conditioning into the ankle and the foot of your top leg if you are in the half lotus line. Then unraveling yourself to find your way back into that straddle line, Upavista Konasana, reaching for your block. We're going to fold and slide. We're going to try to maybe lie down on the second ear. Finding your way from here back into a tall seat. And then bringing one leg in, maybe pivoting to face the top end of your mat. We're going to squeeze the two legs together, so we're coming into a nice, tall, narrow staff seat, Dandasana, making sure that we're sitting as tall as we can with the legs as extended as we can manage. Big breath in. We're going to fold, reach with the block, and we're going to see if we can hook over the toes. Grabbing in with the hands and pressing away with both feet as we hold for roughly 30 seconds. And find your way back to a nice tall seat. You can place the block one side, or you could elect to maybe place it underneath your feet or your head as you find your way down onto the back. Bending your knees, bringing them in towards the midline so you're in a narrow table, and then using them as one unit to just trace a few lazy lower back and massaging circles in one direction. And then a few in the opposite direction. Then ground both feet. Extend the right leg and stretch from your hip bone to your toes on the right, trying to allow the leg to fall out slightly. Then relax from the right hip through the whole line of the leg to the toe. And let's repeat left. Start to extend the left leg, slightly turning it out and stretching actively from the hip joints to the toes on the left. And relax that limb as well, so both of your legs are like two long strands of spaghetti, just limp and lying on the mat. Squeeze your two bum cheeks together. Think of tensing up your back muscles through lower back, all the way mid back, upper back, shoulder line, squeezing the two shoulder blades together. Then think of unzipping and relaxing from the shoulders through the upper back, mid back, lower back, bottom. Keep your back and your bottom line relaxed and start to tense up your lower belly, your chest muscles, maybe even allowing your shoulders to slightly fall in. And then start to unzip it through the front chain. So think relaxed chest, relaxed belly. And then stretch from your right shoulder to the tips of each finger on the right hand, maybe even lifting the hand off the mat and stretching through the palm and the line of each finger. Then softly just relax from shoulder to tip of each finger, allowing the fingers to gently curl in. Let's repeat left, stretching through the left shoulder line, through the wrist, through the palm, through the line of each finger. Then relax that whole limb and allow the fingers to gently curl in. Take a big breath in. On an exhale, flop your head off center to the right and just pause there. Looking to soften and release the left side of your neck. Inhale, peel back to center. Exhale, find a flop and drop to the left. Inhale to peel back to center. Take a long, deep inhale and stretch your entire body, hips to toes, shoulders to fingertips, the entire line of your neck and spine, reaching with some tenseness in the body. And then on an exhale, relax. Let's do that twice more in your own time. Stay here in corpse pose for a few relaxed breaths, or find your way into a gentle supine butterfly, looking for one last opening into the hip area as you think feet together, knees wide, allowing for a neutral breath and just taking a few gentle breath cycles here. Stay here on your back or find your way into a fetal pose, preferably rolling onto the right side of your body with your left shoulder looking up, the bottom arm tucked underneath your head in a position that is comfortable for you, and position the top arm as is comfortable for you. When you're ready, you can press up into a seat of your choice, maybe using this as an opportunity to find your way into a half or a full lotus line one last time, just finding a nice tall seat, closing your eyes, taking your focus inward, and thinking of our key word for today's practice, which was the word portable. Maybe setting up the rest of your day by just internalizing the truth of the next few words. Joy is portable, so bring it with you wherever and whatever you are doing today. Namaste to you. Thank you so much for coming out and indulging in some portability play with me today. Till next time, keep it light.